the game more clearly with high-definition spectacle lenses from Norville Opticians.
David, has it been an angry camp you've had to deal with this week after Saracens last weekend?
It's hard. There's always a reaction after a game, disappointment. As a result of the performance last weekend, we were obviously very pleased with the previous 3 weeks where we'd performed well. We didn't quite get the result we wanted against Leicester, but we played very well in that game. Then the following 2 weeks, Bath Harlequins, very positive. So we were in a good place. Last week was very disappointing. We all said that, and I think, as you sensed in a number of the interviews post-match, there's a degree of anger, degree of frustration that we didn't perform against the champions. So the message has been very clear. There wasn't a huge amount wrong, but what was wrong has to be fixed. And that frustration and anger that we had in the immediate aftermath has to be reflected in the performance this weekend.
And the things that were wrong, are they easy things to fix? Obviously easy to identify for starters, which is a help.
The bottom line was we just couldn't create any pressure, particularly in the second half when Saracens were a man down. The weather, the conditions didn't really allow us to stretch the game to really maximise that additional person. But the bottom line was that we gave away too many penalties, 18 penalties, and we had 19 unforced errors. So in effect, 37 turnovers against a top team. You're just not going to win the game with those stats like that.
Newcastle obviously coming to Kingsholm this weekend. They've played themselves into a bit of form of late as well.
Certainly have. Anybody who's watched them be pretty impressed with their style of rugby, the way they're trying to play, the ambition they're showing. They have a good team with Dean, John Wells. They're obviously very well coached. So it's again going to be a test for us. But as I said, our focus every week has been about us. It's about making sure that we're prepared. We know the threats they pose. It's going to, from a defensive perspective, over the last few weeks we've been very good, been very strong. Newcastle will pose something different to what Saracens posed last weekend, but again we're well prepared and ready for it.
How important has Andy Good been to their transformation? Because the two seem to have gone hand in hand.
I think if you look back over probably the past decade and asked to name your most influential players in the Premiership during that period, Andy Good would have to be very near the top of anybody's list. But to come back having not trained at all pre-season, taking a few months off to enjoy Rugby World Cup, and to come back and produce the level of performance is pretty impressive. And he's been right at the centre of everything they've done well over the course of the last few weeks.
I think it's only once in Premiership history that Newcastle have won the Kingsholm, but came pretty close last year. I guess you won't want another one like that. Was it last minute doing this trial, isn't it?
I think probably the last 3 games against Newcastle have all been high scoring. You'll probably know the stats better than I do, but 70-80 points the last 3 games. So their style of play, they're open, they have an ambition to play. But I think if you were to ask Johnny Bailey, he'd be disappointed if we concede 40 points this weekend.